Today's lesson is number properties, and our goal is that we can use the commutative and associative properties to simplify expressions. Commutative property. The word commute means to move. The commutative property means you can move things around in an addition or multiplication problem without changing its value. So let's look at that. If I have the problem 3 plus 4 plus 5 equals 4 plus 5 plus 3. Let's work that out. So, if I do 3 plus 4 first, I get 7 plus 5. If I do the other side, I get 4 plus 5 plus it equals 9, and then I'm going to add the 3. Either way, I'm going to get 12. Addition, or multiplication, let's try that one. I've got 3 times 4 times 5. And on the other side, I've got 4 times 5 times 3. So on the first one, I do 3 times 4, I get 12. And then I'm going to multiply that by 5, and I get 60. On the other side, I do 4 times 5 first, I get 20. 20 times 3 is 60. Either way, I get the same result. Why would we use this? Well, we can organize our thinking that way, and we can work so we get friendlier numbers. With the addition problem, that didn't work out so well. But for the multiplication problem, anytime, I think anytime I can work with something that's a multiple of 10, I think it's easier to work with when I'm multiplying at least. Well, especially when I'm multiplying. All right, so now let's look at our other problems. So we're going to solve these problems. Well, you know what? We don't need to do these. Never mind. Moving on. All right, associative property. So associate means to join or unite. The associative property states that numbers can be grouped in different ways in an addition or multiplication problem without changing the value. So we're going to group differently so that the value is not changed. So we've got, again, 3 plus 4 plus 5, and then 3 plus 4 plus 5. So similar to the last page, but we're grouping them differently by putting parentheses around them. So here I get 7 plus 5, and here I get 9 plus 3. So in the last page, I moved things around to get these results, and in this one, I'm just grouping them with parentheses to get the results that I had in the last page, the results I got by moving them. I'm still getting 12. Maybe I should have used different numbers so I had different results. But this way you guys can actually see it. And the same thing here. I've got my parentheses around my 3 times 4, and then I multiply that result by 5. And on the other side, I've got 3 times 4 times 5 is in my parentheses. So I'm still going to get my 12 times 5 on one side, and I'm going to get my 3 times 20 on my other side. Either way, I'm getting 60. We use this again for friendlier numbers and to organize our thinking. Okay, not that this has to be part of your notes. Actually, I told you didn't have to do this, but I do want to go back and look at, in our previous one, the reason that this becomes really helpful. Okay, I know you don't have, well, no, we do have these. These are on there. Sorry, I skipped them, but yeah, you've got room for examples and then the ones to solve mentally. So, let's start with, all right, hold on. Okay, so if we look at these, by commuting this problem, oh shoot, forgot to put my screen back. Okay, I want just this half right now. Okay, by commuting this problem and putting this negative 5 6/10 plus this negative 4 4/10 together, and then I've got this negative 7 8/10 over there. All right, so if I put them together, I've got this negative 6/10 and this negative 4/10. right? Together, this -6/10 and this -4/10 are going to give me 1, right? And this -5 and this -4. Okay, so these two together give me 1. I'm sorry, give me 1. And then together I get 10 out of this. Kind of crowded in there. But you get the idea. So I've got a -10 plus my -7 and 8/10. So because those are both negative, I'm still adding 2 negatives. So I'm adding, and I get 17 and 8/10. Way easier to do that than to have to mess with all those decimals. And anytime I can get rid of a decimal and add a decimal and a whole number, it makes my life a lot easier, especially when there's 10 involved. All right, this one. All right, so I've got 3/2 and 2/3. Well, if you remember anything from when we multiplied, we should know that 3/2 and 2/3 is going to give me 1. So if I commute these to being this, I know that I'm going to end up with just this, because these guys are going to cancel, these guys are going to cancel, and I'm going to be just left with my 5/7. All right, so on to our next one. All right, so I got set -7/9 plus -2/8 in parentheses plus the -1/2 or 1 2/10. If I put these two together, I'm again going to get the 8/10 and the 2/10 to give me a whole, plus I then have the -2 plus the -1 plus the whole that I got from putting my 8/10 and my 2/10 together, which is going to give me a -4. Plus, I've got the -7 and 9/10. So now I have -11 and 9/10, which to me is a lot easier than to have to add all those decimal numbers together. And then, same idea over here with this one. If I reassociate those together, I again have a negative times a negative is positive. So these guys are going to cancel and give me a 1 and a 1 and a 1 and a 1. And I'm left with negative times negative gives me a positive. And then I've got the -3/8. So my answer is -3/8. Now they won't always work out this pretty. We purposely kind of pick these, but it helps you to see the purpose of this. And sometimes you do get numbers that do work out this pretty. All right. Now, I know you don't have room on your sheet for this, but I do want you to flip it over to the back side and rewrite these, at least get the highlights of this, because this is going to be on your assessment, and we did this back at the very beginning of the unit, and I need to know that you have this. So it's a good thing to just re-familiarize yourself with the names of these properties and what they mean. So the identity property of addition is x plus 0 equals x. So we didn't change its identity by adding 0. Identity property of multiplication. Again, we're not changing the identity. X times 1 equals x. The identity did not change. I always kind of think of this as superhero property. The identity does not change. Inverse property of addition. Inverse means opposite. So you're adding the opposite to get to 0. So x plus -x is 0. And then the inverse property of multiplication is the reciprocal property. So a number times its reciprocal. So x times 1/x equals 1. So we were messing with reciprocals, not quite reciprocals because of the negative thing. But no, we were getting 1. So yeah, we were working with reciprocals in the multiplication properties on the previous 2 pages. So, hopefully, if you have any questions, you're writing those down and going to bring those to me the next time you see me. Hope you enjoyed our lesson, and I'll see you next time.